In Switzerland, Europe, Singapore has a bit of a reputation of being boring because it's very small. Whenever someone says that, I'm like, I think maybe you're boring, right? But Singapore honestly has so much to offer.
Welcome to the One Day at a Time podcast, where we take things one day at a time. Today in the studio, we have Marion or Mary. Which do you go by these days?
Actually, both is fine. So my actual name is Marion, but I figured when I realized when I came to Singapore that some people have a bit of an issue in spelling or like pronouncing Marion. So I went with Mary. But my close friends, they call me Marion.
Okay, so Mary it is because we are in Singapore now. Okay, so Mary, do you want to do a quick introduction about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm 20 years old. I came to Singapore a bit more than a year ago, and I fell in love with Singapore the minute I arrived. I think everyone who follows my socials can tell that I'm the biggest Singapore fan. I always say, like, Singapore Tourism Board should actually sponsor me. And yeah, I'm actually a very active, outgoing person. I love to talk. I love to do any kind of sports. I'm also a licensed yoga teacher. I'm interested in anything new, discovering, and very curious person.
Right. Okay. So you are in Singapore for a little more than a year, right? And I think you are originally from Switzerland, right? And I think there are a lot of people, on the internet that actually feel like Singapore and Switzerland are relatively similar in some ways, apart from our country's flags being white and red, in terms of like cost of living, being expensive places to live and things like that. What do you feel like is the main difference apart from maybe the weather, right?
Yeah, so actually this is really true. They have a lot in common, and I think that both have a very, very high quality of life. What is definitely different, and I think this is a topic where a lot of people don't maybe have different opinions, but now as I have been living here for a year, I can really say that Singapore does not have to be really expensive. It is ranked among the most expensive cities in the world, but you can afford a quite luxurious lifestyle if you know where to go or what to buy. So in Switzerland, if you go out to eat at a restaurant, I think the cheapest meal can be like a pizza or like a plate of pasta, and it's like not a fancy place. And it is around 30 Singapore dollars. And then you buy like a Coke Zero, which is another 9 Singapore dollars. So the cheapest you can go off is like $30 to $40.
Right.
And I mean, this is no comparison to all the hawker stalls. By the way, I love hawker food. I probably eat at hawkers almost every day.
Right.
There's no such option. And in here, yeah, if you shop at Orchard Road or live in a CBD penthouse, yeah, it's very expensive. But you have all these cheaper options. As like small, I think it's the small things like getting a manicure or like maybe like treat yourself to a massage, which I would never dare to think of pampering myself in Switzerland. It's like $200 to $300 a massage.
Wow.
So I mean, obviously this is a luxurious problem, but
yeah.
I mean, MRT is very affordable.
Right, yeah.
A train ride in Switzerland one way to the city from my mom's place is $9.
Wow.
In here, yeah, like $1 for an MRT ride. So I think, yeah, cost of living on a daily basis is the main difference. And then obviously like cultural differences, small habits. I could name like a million, just like to mention a small one, because my mom is here and she was very astonished about that. When you enter, like, for example, a nail salon, that you have to take off your shoes.
Right.
Or when you enter like a friend's place, like everyone takes off their shoes. And when we invite friends or when you have a gathering at home, everyone leaves their shoes on. So it's these small things that just need adaptation, but I think it's very interesting.
Right, so like small cultural differences and things like that. So since you've been here for a year, what do you think is the biggest cultural difference that you've kind of had to adjust to, The
biggest culture I had to adapt to, I think that my biggest worry was to be like impolite, or that when I was invited to a friend's place, that I wouldn't know what people do or what people bring, for example, and that things I would do that come across that would be rude. For example, small things like you're not allowed to put the chopsticks like into the bowl, right? And I had such a hard time. Like I did it so many times wrong in the beginning when I like finally realized you had to put it on the bowl.
Right.
It's these small things that probably people would forgive me because I didn't know.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Such things that there's not like a culture shock where I had like really big issues in adapting. It's standing on the left side on the elevator, like these small things in it, like, oh, okay, I get it wrong, or like, but nothing really drastic, I think. I mean, Singapore people are so nice and so open-minded and very friendly and welcoming. So I didn't have a hard time in cultural differences as such.
Okay, so having been here for a year, because I think one of the things that many Singaporeans think is that Singapore is relatively boring. There's not many things to do, whereas, in Switzerland, you can go skiing, you can go hiking, you can do many, many things, right? Do you think that is true based on your experience living here?
So this makes me so angry. And people saying Singapore is boring is honestly a topic I could rage about for like an hour, because it's true. Even in Switzerland and Europe, Singapore has a bit of a reputation of being boring because it's very small. And whenever someone says that, I'm like, I think, yeah, maybe you're boring, right? But Singapore honestly has so much to offer. If you like just step a bit out of your comfort zone and maybe do, like, there's so many festivals, like there's so many like just restaurants. I will never be able to experience all the foods that Singapore has. Tell me a place in the world where you can get to the beach in 15 minutes and you can go to a nature reserve within 15 minutes, and then you're in CBD and you feel like you have the most beautiful skyline and everything within 15 minutes car drive. You cannot find this anywhere else. There's really like a lot of nature trails. There's so many beaches at Sentosa. There's so many activities to do in Sentosa, from luging to bungee jumping to zip lining. And then also I think Singapore is very good with like exhibitions and like ever changing like cultural entertainment. So I really don't think Singapore is boring at all.
Okay, so if you had to choose, right, after staying here for a year, if you had to choose your top 3 most favorite places or activities to do, what would these 3 be?
So I think I really like the MacRitchie treetop walk, because I think it gives you really this jungle vibe and you get this feeling, and you can even like spot like wildlife animals. Right.
A lot of monkeys there, right?
Yeah, a lot of monkeys. I saw a boar.
Oh, really? At MacRitchie?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then also like Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve, like you see wildlife crocodiles like 3 meters like away from you. Like you're not in a zoo, right?
Right.
So this is definitely my favorite like nature activity. And then in terms of food activity, it's definitely like go to a hawker place. And like, I really love that you share all the food, so you try out different things. So exploring hawker centers and new dishes is another activity. And then one of the most fun things that comes to my mind, there's an indoor play fun park near Somerset where you can basically...
Oh, it's like pretty new, right? It's pretty new one, yeah.
It's like they have a rage room, they have like indoor golf, they have, I don't know, like an obstacle course. I don't know, I really like to be active and like it's like some kind of like adrenaline stuff. So yeah, and then also, like Orchard Library, which is the most beautiful library I've ever seen. I could spend hours in Orchard Library just like looking for books.
Right. Yeah, I think, like a lot of Singaporeans, maybe we grew up very used to the convenience. Just like you mentioned that you basically get to almost any part of the country, whether it's a wetland reserve or like a theme park, in like 15 to 20 minutes, right? And I think maybe people grow complacent because, we haven't really lived extended period of time in a place where transport is maybe not as expensive, things are far away, and maybe we don't really appreciate how convenient and affordable things are compared to someone who has experienced the real inconvenience and like, going out for a simple plate of like pasta and it's like $40, kind of thing, right? And, having been here for a while, you actually are creating a lot of content surrounding like your life here in Singapore. Were you always a content creator even back then in Switzerland?
No, actually not. And this is probably also why I will be like grateful to Singapore forever, because I literally found my dream job in content creation. I started this whole journey when I created a new account on Instagram, like from zero, just for my friends and family to show them like how my journey is going, what I experienced. And then I started to create these videos. And then I kind of got into this content creation not by accident, but brands started to reach out or like invited me to media tasting. I did a lot of food reviews because I was so excited about all the foods, and I tried different restaurants. Also because it's very affordable to eat out, right?
Right.
So ever since, Singapore has opened up so many doors for me. I think also because it's very advanced in terms of content creation. Brands are willing to work with content creators. For example, in comparison to Zurich, nobody's like, it doesn't really exist. I mean, they have like influencers and content creators, but it's not like, if you say that you're an influencer in Zurich, everyone like stares at you and like, okay.
They feel like it's not a real job.
Yes, they feel like it's not a real job. And in the beginning, it was a bit hard to explain to my friends and family what I do, because basically what they said was, so you create videos and like, that's what you do all day? Okay. And then I'm like, this video took me like 6 hours to produce.
Right.
So I think a lot of people don't fully understand what it means to be a content creator.
Right.
But yeah, I'm always happy to talk about it and explain what's behind. And once I start explaining and sharing my thoughts, everyone's like, oh yeah, wow, okay. I didn't know about that.
Right. Do you feel like in Singapore, the infrastructure and the willingness of brands to work with creators is a lot more existent compared to, say, like where you're from, like Zurich?
100%, for sure. I mean, the whole industry is very advanced. They are like not only like there are a lot of agencies that
for sure.
approach me, or when like brands even like sending out media drops. I work a lot of also like in barter collaboration. So I would get a brand would send me some cookies to try, and I would review them. And this does not exist in Switzerland.
Why do you think that is? Because the general concept of being a content creator is that you create content that people like to watch, and it does make a lot of sense for brands to use your content as some form of advertising, right? Why do you think like in places like Switzerland, for example, it is not as huge,
This is a very good question, and I obviously don't have the answer. What I could imagine is that, so Switzerland is a very career-driven and, let's say, career-focused, also a bit pressure-related place. So I felt like growing up in Zurich, especially, not for all of Switzerland, but just how I grew up, is I felt like people, if you don't like work in a bank and if you don't like go to university, people would like judge you quite fast. And basically so education is very affordable. So everyone has like opportunity to have a good education, and people don't really see it, the reason for, okay, I went to university and now what? Like now I promote products online. So they would think like, this is not a real job. I didn't go to university to then like just be on social media. And I think it's also like, the term influencer has a very bad reputation online because there's just not knowledge. Like the knowledge is what's behind it and how much effort it is to be a content creator or / influencer. It's not there. So people, I do believe that a lot of girls and boys maybe want to be a content creator, but they don't know how to start, and they're maybe like afraid of being judged.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the similarities between Switzerland and Singapore is that our economy is very driven by like finance and things like that, right? Banking, and things that are generally seen as a well-respected professions, right? So what you're describing that's happening in Switzerland, I think is very similar in Singapore, maybe just like 5 years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. But I think in the past couple of years, there has been so many brands that has been open to work with content creators that it fueled this entire industry to become what it is today, right? Because it is, I guess it is not too difficult to buy an iPhone and start making videos, right? Nobody said the videos had to be really, really good quality in terms of the clarity and audio, like as long as it's interesting, people watch, right? And I think a lot of brands have also been very involved in helping and also fueling this whole content creation industry because it benefits them as well. So I think like just a short 4 or 5 years ago, it's exactly the same here because almost everybody in Singapore has some kind of degree or diploma because the government is very pro education and things like that. So I think just 4 or 5 years ago, being an influencer, like the word influencer, is still like a dirty word. It's like, what do you actually do as an influencer? But these days, I think it's a lot more accepted, right?
I had it's very, I totally agree what you're saying. And I had like 2 weeks ago, I think I realized why it is still the case that influencers have a bad reputation. So the story was that I try to I do reply to every single comment I get on social media, and
wow.
Every DM, like if I don't respond, then it's like really like it was a mistake or I didn't see it. So I spent a lot of time doing that. And so a girl commented on my picture or DM'd me, and I replied as always. And then she wrote me this text: "Wow, thank you so much for replying. I didn't expect you to reply to my DM. Thank you so much." And this made me like really sad because I feel like it's a social platform where content creators live, or like their community enables them to have this job. So, and then I posted this story on Instagram saying, well, this comment was like upset me a bit. And then I have never gotten so many replies on that story saying, well, you're the only one replying to my DMs. I DM'd so many other creators. They would never reply. They would never answer any comments. And that really is, I think, the reason why influencers have a bad reputation. They want from their audience, they want their likes, they want their comments, their engagement, but they're not willing to give them a lot back. You know what I'm trying to say? So I feel, I think when you work as a content creator, you cannot lose the reason or why you're here where you are, because without your community, you're basically you're jobless.
Right. So, but spending time to reply to all these comments, and it really takes up a lot of your time, right?
Yeah.
Like 50, half your time you spend working, you are replying to DMs, replying to
maybe
comments.
not half a day, but I think it's up to 1 or 2 hours a day. Yes. And
right.
Even, I do generally really like engaging with my community. I do really like it. But then there are days, obviously, where I'm like, okay, I'm very tired. But then this is a job in the end, right? And for every job, sometimes there are also tasks that you have to do when you don't 100% feel like it. So this is just part of the job. And I really think that if you give something, you get something in return, because social media, it's a give and take. And if you want something from your audience, then you have to give something back.
Right. Okay. So actually, now that you're saying that, you reply to every DM, every comment, I have a quite interesting question to get your opinion, right? Because everybody that comments on your post or they DM you, most of them, they like your content, they want to connect with you, they want to get to know you. But surely along the way, there are some people who might not be too nice.
Yeah.
Right. So do you also reply to all those, or?
Yeah. So hate comments is a very interesting question. I do respond to every hate comment as well.
Wow,
and
okay.
I think maybe I've been lucky. I have not received a lot of hate comments, but some of my very viral videos, I probably also part because of the hate comments, it got viral.
Right.
It went viral. And so I mean, I got very bad comments saying like, you racist bitch, go back to your country.
Oh,
or
shit.
and then, I mean, it was a fun video. It was like me standing in an MRT, like because I was tall, like POV 177 girl in Asia. I mean, this is literally, it's just like an entertainment fun video.
For sure.
And people commenting such a mean comment, I honestly feel so sad for them. And this is why, maybe it's a character thing, but I was never really affected like by these hate comments, because I can really like separate them as, I'm very sorry for that you feel this way, because you must have a very sad life that you comment that. And then I would just reply, for example, all the best for your future, or like in general, very sarcastic, or say, or if they say something mean, I'm like, I don't agree with you, or thanks for your engagement, or something like that. I would reply yes. Yeah, I think hate comments, it's part of the business, and I guess I'm also lucky that it doesn't affect me personally, because I know a lot of creators struggle with it. But as long as I don't know, I've never seen these. They don't even have a profile picture.
Yeah, they usually don't.
Never seen them in my life. Like I will probably not ever see them in real life anyway. So yeah.
So apart from, because just now earlier on you mentioned that being a content creator, you kind of stumble upon this thing, and it's sort of like a dream job, right? Like being an extrovert, you go out and have food, you basically kind of document your life and your time here in Singapore, and it's all great. But what do you think for yourself is one of the biggest challenges as a content creator full time?
So my biggest challenge is that basically you're never done with work. You're working 24 hours, 7. You can work anytime, every 365 days of the year. And I think my biggest struggle, and I'm still learning and I'm still trying to find my balance, is that I need to take breaks. And because otherwise you're burnt out in very fast, because there's everywhere you go, there's basically content. And I had phases where I had very hard time to switch off and like spend times with friends and not think of, but like I should reply this, and then maybe I could make a video about this, and what am I posting tomorrow, and I haven't done this, and I should do more engagement. And so separating your personal life and then work, it's a very it's not very, it's a fine line, and
it's very hard to switch off.
Yes. So this is still what I'm trying to find a balance with, because I think it's also because I'm so passionate, and I really, for me, work doesn't feel like work. I love editing every single video. Like I really genuinely enjoy it. So this is why it doesn't feel like work. But I also realize for my like mental health issues, you need to take breaks, and it's okay if you don't post one day, like nothing's gonna happen.
Right. Okay. At some point, I think in many content creators' journey, when they have enough, brand deals, when like the content gets too overwhelming, sometimes they build a team, right? Some people to help them with the editing, some people to help them with me replying to brands and things like that. Do you have any? Are you currently just running the entire thing by yourself?
Yes.
Do you have any plans to build a team or anything in the future?
I mean, yes, I am currently looking for an editor for my YouTube videos, because editing YouTube videos is just very, very
tedious,
tiring.
right?
Yeah, it takes ages. And also it can take up to 30. I'm also not very good at it. So I think this is definitely something I would want to outsource. But besides that, I script my videos, I come up with ideas, I film them myself, I edit them myself, I do my voiceovers, I post them, I reply to everything myself, all the emails, all the negotiations with brands, I do everything myself. Now I can still do it, but I think maybe like in the future, if I keep growing and if I still have the possibility to do all these things, I need to think of outsourcing some of the tasks.
Just now you mentioned that your greatest challenge just now was that essentially one of the things that you struggle with is to switch off, right? To not work. And apart from, going out and enjoying your life, what do you think is your favorite thing about being a content creator?
I really think to experience and explore new things every day. So, I mean, I think I got the chance to do all these fun things because of my job. And honestly, if you tell me I can go to Sentosa and go like bungee jumping and I'm getting paid for that and do video, I mean, this is my dream job, right?
Right.
So I get to do, or like I can get a facial or I can get a massage and like even earn money with it.
Right.
I mean, that is
essentially getting paid to do what you love to do.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. And I also love new people, meeting new people. And like, this is probably the best example. I mean, I get to like go in the studio. I've never like recorded a podcast. I'm very fascinated by the whole setup, honestly.
Right.
Interacting with people I haven't interacted before, get their opinion on things. I think this really makes you grow as a person. And I do really love that. Yeah.
Right. You know, I think there are many people all around the world who also, I guess, dream of doing your job, right? Being a content creator, essentially getting paid to do what you love to do. And this industry globally, I think, is becoming a lot more competitive, and maybe the infrastructure is not as well set up as a lot of other more traditional industries, right? So if someone wanted to kind of like follow your footsteps, to kind of be a content creator, lifestyle content creator, what would be your one advice for them to how do they even begin?
Okay, I love this question because I think there are a lot of misconceptions about being a content creator. And I think the first question, if you think I want to become an influencer / content creator, is why do you want to become a content creator? Because I think people only see the, the shiny things. Oh, she gets products to be sent home and she gets to go to this event. But this is just like a small part of it, right? So it is a lot of editing. It is a lot of coming up with scripts. And if you don't like, if you don't like editing videos, then this is not a job for you, because I do a lot of editing myself every single day. And I always say that, would you do this? Would you do all this if you didn't get paid for it? And I would 100% every single day. So there's a lot of paperwork, like negotiations. There's, you have to, if you're self-employed, right? You have a lot of freedom, but also nobody's going to tell you what you do. And you need to put yourself out there, right? I mean, I went to so many events. I did not know anyone. I didn't even know where it was. I couldn't find the place for like an hour. I got there. I didn't know anyone. So you have to put yourself out there, make conversation. And this is like, it is exhausting. It is exhausting, and it's not for everyone. And you also have to, when you pitch to brands, I mean, I pitched to 50 brands. And probably in the beginning, I wouldn't get one answer, not one.
Sure, yeah.
So you have to deal a lot with rejection as well, which a lot of people maybe take personal, but you can't, because otherwise, it's hard. So you really need to ask yourself, why are you doing this?
So for you, what do you think is the biggest reason of like why you continue to do it? Because how you started and why you started, it's usually because, this is fun, right? But now this is no longer it's fun thing. It is fun, but it is also your livelihood. It pays you, right? So if anything goes wrong, there's more at stake. You know, if you're doing it for fun, and you have a day job that pays you a salary, and you get like lower engagement on 10 videos, it's fine, right? So that now that this is your job, do you feel like the motivation has changed in any way?
No, I don't think so. The motivation has not changed at all. I just have to be more careful in what videos I make. I really have a very strict rule for myself that I think the worst you can do as a content creator is become like basically an advertisement platform.
Right.
And I really think that this is also where a lot of content creators go wrong. They think too short term. So I turned down a lot of brand deals because they simply don't fit my profile. I don't do any beauty. I don't do like fashion content much. So even though like I got offers like for very good money, I said, this is not what my followers or my community signed up for. So this is just not what content I do. And if you take all the short wins, I think you lose authenticity in the long run. So this is just something I'm more careful about, like what brands I work with and what videos I put out there. So I want to have a good mix and mainly that.
Right. I'm quite curious to know. So because you have built your career in Singapore, right? But you are still you come from Switzerland. You present a Switzerlander perspective of Asia, of Singapore, and things like that. So are most of your audiences and your fans are they Singaporeans or do they come from everywhere?
I mean, it's very easy to find out, right? I can go into my analytics and find. And right now for Instagram, it's around 55% Singapore.
Okay.
And it's way more on TikTok. It's 83% on TikTok.
Okay. Yeah, so majority are Singaporeans.
Because I mean, it's also location-wise, right? The app tracks like where you are and where the content gets shown to. There is a following from Switzerland as well because I think some friends they follow me. But yeah, it is Southeast Asia, probably mostly Singapore.
Do you have any friends from Switzerland who, after watching your videos, decide to come and visit as a tourist?
Yeah, I do think so. I mean, obviously my friends and family, they realize, oh, Singapore, maybe it's not that boring after all. So we got to stop over in Singapore. I do think, I leave a small impact, at least for my friends and family in Switzerland, for sure. I do think so.
Yeah, I think that's really cool, and I think it's really refreshing also to hear from someone who didn't grow up here, because sometimes we are so used to certain things that we might not really notice some of these things that you might notice because you didn't grow up here.
Yeah,
right?
This is definitely something, and I don't blame the Singaporeans because it's with everyone. Where you grow up, right? You just get used to it. You stop appreciating the things you have in front of your door. So I don't blame Singaporeans at all for this, but I do really think that they take Singapore a bit for granted, just in terms of safety, for example. I come from Switzerland, which is probably the
pretty
second
safe, right?
Pretty safe. Yeah. But coming to Singapore, I realized this is next level safety.
Really?
For sure. I mean, even though people say, no crime means low crime doesn't mean no crime. When I leave my phone on the table and I go fetch my food, it's going to be there when I come back, even after an hour.
Right.
You don't want to try this in Switzerland. You don't. And I mean, there's pros and cons, right? You pay the price in Singapore with all the CCTVs.
Yeah.
People complain about feeling
privacy,
observed. But then for me, I think maybe this is also a character trait. I just see the benefits of, well, I don't have anything to hide, right? So this is basically giving me so much freedom. And I'm willing to pay this price of being really careless and walking home at 3 a.m. as a woman. I've never, not a single second since I've been here, felt uncomfortable, insecure, or not ever. And I don't think that's true for Switzerland. So this is definitely something I think they take for granted.
Yeah.
And also the cleanliness.
Yeah.
It is very, very clean. But yeah, they have high fines. That's the price you pay. But as long as you stick to the rules, I mean, you get to enjoy all the benefits.
Right.
So
yeah, pros and cons, right?
Pros and cons everywhere.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing, Marion. I think that was really nice to hear from your perspective, and thank you so much for being so open to sharing as well. So if anybody is listening or watching the podcast and they have not come across your content before and they would like to kind of explore your content, where can they actually find you online?
Yeah, so definitely the best way to find me is on Instagram. It's Swizzy in SG. The same handle goes for TikTok and YouTube, where I also post long-form videos about more expat-related content, about what you need to know before coming to Singapore or how my journey was as moving to a different country. And as I mentioned before, I'm really, really happy to answer your questions in DMs. Feel free to just leave a comment or drop me a message.
Nice. All right. Thank you so much for coming today, Marion.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you. Oh, sorry.
Thank you for no. It was really, really a great experience. I appreciate it very much.
Awesome. And I hope to see you around in Singapore, and reviewing more food so that I know where to go to. And
hit me up for hawker recommendations.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for watching the One Day at a Time podcast, and we will see you next time. Peace.